Yo, what's good? It's Andrew from ProducerSociety.com. Today I'm talking to you guys about connecting a condenser microphone to a computer, which is pretty straightforward. If you saw the video that was on my channel the other day, I talked about how to connect a dynamic microphone to a computer. And frankly, the two things are kind of the same. They're not that different from each other. You just need three things to do this. You need your interface, your audio interface, your condenser mic, your XLR cable, and then a USB to USB-C adapter, assuming you're using like a new MacBook Pro. So yeah, those are the three pieces of gear that you need. You can see them in the image here. I'm going to include all of the products in the link description as usual. And then now I'm going to show you just briefly how to set this up. So here's what it looks like. So you got your USB to USB-C adapter right here. It's connected to the side of my MacBook. And then I have the Thunderbolt to USB cable, which the Scarlett comes with, connected directly into the audio interface. And that's how you get this thing to turn on. And this interface is powered by the USB from the laptop. The next step, is that you have your XLR cable, like what's shown here. You just connect it into the audio interface and then into the microphone. And then you want to turn on your phantom power button. And that's kind of the last step for getting your condenser mic to run with your audio interface and your computer. And then that's pretty much it. Doesn't get any more complicated than that. It's worth mentioning, however, that it's probably wise to use a shock mount when you're using a condenser microphone, because with the way that condenser microphones work, they're far more sensitive to being bumped and other extraneous noises like that. So a shock mount is just gonna absorb some of that shock. That's why it's called a shock mount, because it's absorbing some of the shock from the external forces or people bumping into you or et cetera, et cetera. So you want to use that. You don't want to use like another stand. It's got to be a shock mount. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that you may need to go into your system preferences, like here, down here. You go to system preferences, then sound, and then you want to choose whatever it is that you're using. So in this case, I'm using a Samsung Q2U right now, so I would select that. Well, it is being used right now. But if I had a condenser mic connected to an audio interface, I would choose the audio interface, which is shown like what is here. So you can see that I would select that instead. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that you should probably go and do that in your DAW settings, assuming that you're using a DAW. So assuming that you're using a DAW for music production or for recording a podcast, even for example, you would go into your preferences like this, whatever DAW you're using, I don't know, you go to audio MIDI, and then you choose your input and your output. So right now I'm using Telestream for the ScreenFlow editor, which is how I'm capturing my face and the screen at the same time. That's my output device, and then the input device is the Samsung Q2U. Okay, so you want to set that up as well if you're using that. And the final thing I want to talk about is that, let's say hypothetically you don't, let's say you want a condenser microphone, but you don't want an audio interface. I would recommend getting something like this, the AT2020 USB Plus from Technica. You can find it here on Amazon. As I said before, I'll have all the links in the video description. It's quite expensive, but I'm sure it's a great mic. I've actually never used it. I can't personally vouch for it, but I'm sure it's good. So yeah, in terms of some concluding notes about this, just make sure your phantom power switch is always turned on in your condenser mic. Sometimes you might find that you forget to turn it on, and then you're wondering like, oh, how come this mic has no power? Like, what's going on right now? Is there something wrong? Do I need to change the cable? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And in many cases, it's just that you forgot to turn on the phantom power, so make sure you always remember to do that. And that's pretty much it for this video, man. I hope this was helpful to you. Make sure you like and subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next video. All right, see you later.